All right, so today we're working on a customer's car. This is a 1961 DKW 1000S. It does have some 3.6 parts on it, but I've got it up on the rack, and it's not common to look at the underside of a DKW. So I thought that I would show it off because it's such a nice example. Again, this is a 1961 DKW. You probably haven't seen one, or if you have, you've probably never seen underneath. So let's do a little underside inspection, a little underside tour, and you might see some interesting things you've never seen before in a car, because I certainly have. So I got my light here, and we'll start at the front. And again, it's a 3-cylinder, 2-stroke car. This one's very nice. You can look right up here. I'm shining my light. This is where the 3 sets of points are behind this cover. You would take this off and you could see the points in there. That's how you adjust them. And if you look here, I'll shine my light, that is a vacuum actuated fuel pump. In other words, there's no mechanical linkage to the engine. It goes off of crankcase pressure. Just the compression pressure or blow-by pressure actuates a diaphragm and pumps the fuel all the way from the back of the car to the front of the engine. Pretty cool. This one does have a generator. It is 6 volt. So we're looking at the stock 6 volt generator, and the starter then is right there to the side. So I wanted to show a few suspension bits. Again, it's front wheel drive, and it has an elliptical spring similar to a Corvette. If you look up top there where I'm shining my light, there's a leaf spring that goes across the car and connects to the other side. That's how the front suspension is sprung. And then we've got drum brakes with 2 wheel cylinders per wheel. They're blind hole. Causes some type of a, what do you call that? Self-actuating, I think, self-locking. There's a term, I can't think of it right now, that helps give the brakes more power. Of course, we have a shock absorber and a lower control arm. And then the whole engine, which is only, I believe, 14 inches long, is completely in front of the axle center line. So you're looking at the engine right there, which is supported by that big mount, and then the rest of this is the bell housing and the transmission. And this is a 4-speed transmission on the column, so it's a 4 on the tree, and it is also equipped with a freewheeling device so that when you coast downhill, the engine returns to idle speed instead of having like a compression deacceleration. Does that make sense? You can actually switch it between the two so that the engine doesn't starve for oil because it's 2-stroke going for long distances under a light throttle opening. So the whole engine assembly and everything is in front of the firewall. And on this side of the car here is where the exhaust is. The exhaust terminates from the engine right in that area, and this long cylindrical thing right here is the expansion chamber. Although they call it an oil trap. It has a bunch of, I wouldn't say expansion chamber qualities in it. It has a bunch of filter screens and things, and I think it's just supposed to trap the oil, which is kind of funny. You can see the end there is not tapered at all. And when these cars sit, oil does leak from the expansion chamber. Of course, the car has manual brakes. Right there is the master cylinder. Here is your e-brake, which is a mechanical cable operated thing. And if you look, the car does have a frame. It's not a unibody car. And this car is very nice in that it does not have rusty floorboards. Super duper rare for a DKW not to have rusty floorboards, let me tell you that right now. This protruding tray here is where the passengers would put their feet. A little extra room in the rear seat. And if you notice, the frame on this car terminates right here in front of the rear axle center line. That's right. That's where the frame ends. It just supports the rear leaf spring, which is right up there. Again, we've got a transverse leaf spring that goes from one side of the car to the other, and a solid tube axle in the back with just kind of these trailing rods. Very simple. And then beyond that, we have a muffler, which is right there, to muffle the sound of the 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine, and the rest is just spare tire well, and the gas tank would be in this part of the trunk here. That would be your gas tank drain. So I hope you enjoyed this undercarriage inspection of this DKW. It's a pretty cool car and pretty simple. It goes back to, you know, another time. I did forget to mention that, of course, it's got rear drum brakes with only one wheel cylinder. And very simple, light little car. It weighs about 1,000 pounds, and maybe weighs 1,300, I'm not sure. But pretty neat car. Yeah, I love these things. Well, there we go. I hope you learned something. Have a great